application layer where we'll add our DTOs, the data transfer objects, which will define how we send our data across the network. So we'll add a new folder here, then call DTOs, that. So the first one that I will add is for role. So add class. So create role DTO. So it is there. So the role will have, the DTO will have the name. That's the only thing that it will have. So save that and close. So the next DTO that we'll have is one that will help us to give responses. So I'll call it general response. It will actually be a record. So we'll have the flag and the message. So the message, the flag, it can either be true or false. Close that. So the next DTO is what we call the get role DTO to help us get role. Get role DTO like that. So like that. So get role DTO. So it is getting the ID and the name. Okay. So the next one is what we call local storage. So we will be storing our token in a local storage. So this is the DTO that will help us to manage that action. So local storage DTO. So just should be like that. So it will have the token and the refresh token. So those are the two that will be there. Okay. So the next one is the login DTO. So login DTO, add it. So this one is supposed to help us at the point of logging in. So you can see it will have the email and password. Those are the two things that the user will have to supply to be able to have access to the application. So close that. So the next one is what we call the login response. So login response, add it. So it will be a record. So the login response, as you can see it will have the flag, the message, the token, and the refresh token. So once you log in, we will assign a token and a refresh token to that request because the token will carry some metadata that will be used for the session of the user. So that is the login response. The next DTO is the post token. So the post token has the refresh token and the session user ID. So this one here is supposed to help us with the dynamics of helping the user get a new token when the one being used has expired. So that's why we are passing with the session of the user in question. Okay, next we have the register DTO. So let's add it. Register, so the register user DTO. So the register user DTO will have this, the ID, name, email, password, the confirmed password, a role name, and the role ID. Okay. So those are the things that will be there at the point of making a registration for the user. So let's save that So next we have what we call registration response. Registration response add. So that response will be again the flag and the message. Actually, you will have used the general response, but is that something you can change? It's okay. Let's just leave it for now. So the next DTO is what we call the token response. So let me add it. Token response add. So it is like this. So the token response, we have the token type, access token, and then a refresh token. Okay, let's save that. So the last DTO we are adding is what we call the user claims. So user claims DTO that. So let's add it there. So user claims DTO. So this one will help us to store and manage our claims. The claims we have full name, username, email, or role, and the user ID. Those are the ones that we will need for this entire application. So you may adjust it based on your situation, but because of whatever we have done already, this is what we will stick by. So those are our DTOs that we need for the entire application. Let's see what we do next. So the next thing that we need to do is to create our migrations and connect it to our database. So to do that, we will just come to the infrastructure. So we will add a new folder and call it data. Then in this data, we will add a new class called appdb context. Appdb context. Yes, so here we'll make it public, and then we will inherit from db context. So with this, we have to install the Microsoft Entity Framework Core. So that is what will help us here. So let's just install it. I don't like installing these plugins on the go because they can bring confusion. So I like installing them on need basis. When I need it, that's when I install it. So it's easier for you, even who is watching this tutorial, to know that this entity was added at this point, and not just because we added all of them at once. I think that one brings confusion, especially to those who are trying to follow, and even those who are trying to understand the usage of some of these NuGet packages. Yeah. So once you've done that, I will just fix the formatting. Then I will add this constructor here like that, and then I will add this the entities that I need to create migrations for. So from here we will just now add the relationship we have with the domain segment. So that is it for our DB context. So that is it. So now we need to link it to our database and then run the migrations. So to be able to run our migrations, let's first add our connection string. So we'll do that within the presentation there under the web API configuration. We have the app settings.json. So you put your connection string to suit that which you have. So this is mine. This is my data source currently, and then my username is is that this is my password, and then I will change my database to auth light like that, and then trusted server certificate to true, encrypt to false. So that is the connection string. And then to just finish everything, let's add also the dependencies for the JWT token so that we just do it once and for all. So just add here this. So we have what called the JWT section. So this is what will help us in generating the JWT token. We need a key, issuer, and the audience. So this key must be, I think, 25, 32 characters long. I'm not sure, can confirm that. But there's a length needed for it. So this is the one that I'm using, a random generated string. So this is the one I'll be using. And then for the issuer and audience, let me just change it to what this application has. So it is 7178. So make it like that. Yeah, so this is what my token will be using for its whatever we need to generate for the token that we have. And then I will add a dependency within the infrastructure. So let me add a folder, and then I'll call it dependency injection. My spelling injection like that. Yes. So this here will help us to deal with the connection strings for both the DB and the JWT token. So let me add a class here. So this class will call it service container. Then I'll make it public. Then I'll add this code here like this. So now let's import these configurations. So this one is configuration abstraction. Let me use that. Okay, and then here they use SQL. It should be what? Let's see. Let me remove that, it's not needed for now. I'll add it systematically for you to see what I mean. So here we need to add these dependencies. Let me see. Yeah, for this, for the remaining issues, we have to install now the packages because they cannot be referenced directly. So we will come to this application folder, then come to manage NuGet packages. I'll browse and then I'll pick so I will pick, we have the JWT, so we have the system identity token, identity model token.jwt. Let me get, so we still have 8.6.0 as the latest. Let me go with that. Apply, then yeah, so it is installed. Then the next one that we need is this, the Microsoft ASP Core Authentication JWT bearer. So this one is 9.2. That's the one I'll install. the latest. Apply. I accept. It's also installed. You can see it's giving us that. So we go back here. Then let's see. So we have this. So we have that. Add it there. Then we have this like that. Yes. Then we have which one is remaining. Let me remove the using statements that I don't need. We have this. They use SQL. I think I need another package. Let me see. Yes, there's some more packages that I need. Let me just come back here. So we have a few packages we need to be able to run the migrations. So we have this, the Microsoft Framework SQL Server. Let's install it. The latest version, of course. So this one is installed. Then we have this. Install the Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools. Apply, accept. Oh, so I think it needs me to install 9.1 to avoid conflicts. You can see here. So let me just install that. So apply, accept. So that one installed. Then there is the Microsoft Entity Framework Core Design. Let me again install 9.0.1. Okay. Apply, accept. Yes, so these ones are installed. See, yeah, so the three are installed. So you can see it's now picking. this. So let's install that. Okay, so once we are done with that, so this one should be static, that. So what this code means, maybe let's go through it so that we know what we. So we are injecting these classes here for I configuration. So this one is to assist us to read from the app settings.json. So we are reading the string for DB connector, the one I added to be able to use our connection string. And then these other ones are for to define the characteristics of our JWT token. So you can see it is defining the authentication scheme, and then also here it is defining the validity of our token. So you can see it's giving the issuer and the audience, and then also characteristics such as the clock skew to ensure that the token expires at the exact time when we set it. So if it is 1 minute, it will be 1 minute. Because if you read the documentation of the JWT token, you'll realize sometimes if you don't put this, if the expiry was 1 minute, it will add some more time to it. So it will expire after not the 1 minute you set. But this gives us that assurance that if it is a minute, it will be 1 minute. If it is 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. So it gives you that guarantee or that ability to know when exactly your application will expire. So once we have this, now we can run our migrations. So to be able to run our migrations, we'll have to install a package, a NuGet package that we already installed in one of the folders. So just come here so that we don't get errors. So install this. It's called design. Let me just have it. So install this, the Microsoft Entity Framework Core design. Let me just use that to avoid again some conflict. So apply, I accept. Yes. So once we have that, we'll close this and then we will select this to be our web API. Then we will open the NuGet package console. So come to tool, NuGet package manager, then the console like that. Then here ensure the infrastructure project is selected. Okay. Then from here now we can create our migrations. So the first command that we'll push in is so the first command we use is the add migration. Then I can just say first. See. So we are getting this error because we have not referenced this injection into the web app API. So it's not seeing where this is. That's why it is telling me like that. So I just come here like this and then add this here. So this one is referencing the application we had there. So what you need to do is come back to here, this, and then pick this and save using. So let's add this project here. So under dependency, add project reference, then select the infrastructure. Yes. So that is it. So it is connected now. So now let's rerun again. So come here like this, then click enter. Yes, so you can see the migration has succeeded. So it is picked all the tables and the relationships that we have defined. So next what we need to do is just say update database like that. So those are the migrations they have done. So once you have that, to confirm that is true, you can see we have a folder here with our first migration. And then of course, if I check my database, I have the table created in it, the database together with the table. So that's the first step that to tell us that we are on the right track as far as creating this application is concerned. So once we have the connection in place, we can now add our other entities to this application. So let's see how we proceed. So we'll proceed to the application layer, and then here we will add our contracts. Let's add a new folder and call it contracts. And then here we will add an interface, add a new item interface. Then we'll call it iUser like that. So let's call this, make it public, and then I will paste this here like that. So I have this this reference for the application role like that. So these are the interfaces that we need to implement, and you can see they have all the details that we were adding initially. So you can see them here like that. So once that is done, we proceed to the infrastructure layer and add our repositories. So create new folders, call it repositories like that. Repository, just add it, put it like that. And then I will add a new class and call it user repo. User repo like that, and then make this public, and then implement the iUser interface that we created. iUser interface that we created. So let's have this. So fix formatting, then add this, and then let's implement the interface. So we have that. So these are the interfaces that we need to implement for our user. Okay, so we have the create role, delete role, user, get role, get users, login, refresh token, update, all that. So let's do it one by one, and then let's see how it goes. So let's begin with the create role async method. So here what we need to do is add this. So what it means here is we are finding the role by name. Let me add first this so that to clear these errors, first it will be an async method, and then here we need to inject some things. Let's see. So we have the app db context. sorry, so appdb context, so it is this. Let me use the one that is here to avoid a lot of changes. So like that. So that is the first thing that we are adding, and then this will be model here like that. So we need to add this method, the find role by name async. What we'll do, because this is not the only dependency method that we have in this, we have other methods that are dependencies for some of these functions. So let's add all these methods down here. So I added them in a region. So let me add it so that we can go through it. So we'll have a region here, and in this region we have all the dependency methods that we need. So we will be going through each and every one of them when they are as we add them on the main methods that we need. So you can see we have an error here with the config. So let me just also inject here. So we have I configuration, like that. So this it is this extension that we added earlier. Then the name that is being used is this. So add it here like that. So you can see the errors are cleared. So good. So now let's go from where we were. So you are dealing with this create role async. So now you can see what we are doing first. We want to find the role by name, and this name is coming from this model that we passed here. So this is supposed to be like that. So model.name. So it will go to this method. Let's go to the method that we have. So in our region here, we have this method, the find role by name. So we are passing the role name, and then we are searching the database to give us roles based on the name that has been passed there, and then it will give us a response. So that response is what we get here, and if it is not null, it means the role already exists. But if it is null, it means it's not there, so we have to create it. So we call the add role and then pass this and save the changes, and then we get a response back that the role added successfully. Yes. So that is it for this method. It's very straightforward, very simple. So the next one that you're dealing with is the delete role async. So let's add this code here like that. So this has to be async. So we are find async. This is an entity framework method. So we are not calling it anywhere, but it is related to this context here of the roles. So find me a role that is for the ID that has been passed. So if it is null, it means the role, such a role does not exist, because you can't delete something that does not exist. So if that is not the case, meaning it is there, we'll remove the role, save changes, and then give a response that it is deleted. That is it. So the next method we are looking at is the delete user async. So the delete user async, let's put this code here, then change this to async like that. So again, we are finding a user by the ID, and then if it is null, it means the user is not found. So we can't remove a user that it does not exist. But if the result of the user is true, meaning the user exists, we remove the user, and then the response we get here, the response we get from this user is we check if the response here is not null, meaning we have the details of the user we have deleted. We go ahead again to delete the role that is associated with this user. So if you browse this method, you'll find that we are passing the ID of the user, find the role that is related to the ID we've passed, and then if it is not null, we will remove the role and save changes as well. So you can see it's again very straightforward. So once we delete that, we save all the changes and then we give a general response that the user is deleted. So the role and the user, all of them are deleted. So that is to ensure that it is clean. We don't have to delete a user and then leave role because it does not make sense, because roles depend on the user. So the user has to be there for a role to be assigned. So if you are deleting the user, then it makes sense that we have to delete the role as well. Next method is the get role async. So this one we just need to adjust it this way. So we are getting roles to a list. So we're just passing this entity framework method to a list. So we'll get all the roles related to that user. So the next method you can see is the get user async method. So here we need to get all the users that we have. So let's see what we've done. So what we did, we introduced a relationship method that can give us all the details we need for this user. We need the user together with the roles that the user has and the name of those roles. That's why we have this relationship we've introduced here. I know there could be other ways to do it, but this is the best way I saw so far. But why not? You can always chat and tell us how else we could have adjusted it. So once we have this relationship here, what we are doing is we are creating a response for the registration that we have created for the user. And this registration here has the ID, the name, email, role ID, name. So we add this to this list and then return a list of the user that we have registered. So it will be a list of the ID, name, email, the role, and the name that we have assigned this user. Yes. So the next one you can see after we get all the users is the login user async. So again, a very simple code here. Let's add the async method and explain it. Okay, so the first thing that we are doing here is we get the user from here using this lambda expression of the link with the user with the email of the user that has been passed. So if the email that is in the database equals to the email that I have passed to you, and if the response is null, it means the user is not existing. So we'll give the user not found. Okay. But if that is not the case, meaning if 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 this email exists, we'll go to the next check. The next check is to check the password. And you can see we have the bcrypt. Bcrypt is a plugin that is used to encrypt a password. It is not very security friendly. I cannot advise you to use it for a full-fledged application. I'll advise you can use the one that is stored on the one that the SQL server has. It is one-way encryption, so you can only compare the passwords. But this one, there is a way somebody can decrypt the password and find the exact password that was encrypted. So it's just for demonstration purposes, but you can always upgrade to a higher version of what is really more safe, especially for your more complex applications. So we need first to import this bcrypt. So let's do that. I think I can't get it here, but let's pick this, then go to here and then add, manage the packages. Then I'll put this here like that. So it is which one? It is the bcrypt.net.co. This one is the one that I used. Is it? Let me see. Let me confirm that. This one. So the bcrypt.net. This one here. That's the one I used. This, the bcrypt 1.56. This one is 8.9. Okay, let me try this. I see if that's the case. Let me install. Apply. So it is installed. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, it's picked. So you can see that's it. So this one it will verify. So there's a method within this class to verify the password that has been passed from the password that is already stored for the user. So if the password is correct, then what we do is we'll find the role for the user and then find the role name for the user, and then we will generate a refresh token. So we call this generate refresh token method. Let's see. So it is a random generator of 64 bytes here. So this is how it is, like that. Okay, let's go back here. And then once we generate, we clear any token that is existing for this user on the database. So we check where we pass this user ID, and then we remove any refresh token that is already related to this user. Then once that is the case, now we add a new refresh token to the DB and then give a return, or we return a login response that is successful with a new token to log in with. So let's go to this JWT token. So this is the method. So you can see, maybe just to digress first, so we have this add to database method. So this add to DB method, what it is doing, you're passing a universal model here. Then this model here is supposed to add whatever you've passed to the DB and then save changes based on the entity that you passed here. And in this case is for the refresh token. So it will go check the database table that has a refresh token, then save it there like that. And then once you do that, you generate a new token to log in, not a refresh token, but a normal token to log in with. So how do you generate a token? So we first call the key that we have as the one that we stored in the config file, and then we pass these signing credentials, and then we find the role ID and the name for the user, and then we create our claims. The claims here you can see is the ID, name, email, and the role, and then we give the characteristics of the token that we are generating. It has the issuer audience, it has the claims that we have passed here, and then we've added the timing of expiry. It is 20 minutes, and then the signing in credentials, the one we defined there. So we return this token here like that. So this is the one that you will see once you click this login method. Else, so if the password that you've passed here is not correct, we will return invalid credentials. So you can see very straightforward. Okay. So the next method we are looking at is the refresh token async. So what we just do again, we paste it here, that, change this to async. So what are we doing? Again, here we are we are passing a refresh token from the one that we've passed in this model. So get me a token that is related to the one that I have passed. So if it is null, what it means is I will find, because there was, when I was testing the application, I realized there are times when I don't know if it is delays or what. sometimes this returns null even though the token is there. So if it is null, check for me again and return for me this token that is there. So this is just, it was a way to avoid the the errors I was finding with this, but you can test it further and see if that is the case. Then once we have this token, we will find the user that is related. So this token will return for us a user ID. So we will get the user that has that token. Then we will generate a token. We'll generate a new token and a refresh token. So we have two methods here to generate a normal token and a refresh token, because in this case this method is called when the token has expired. So if this token that you've passed, the refresh token that you are passing here is supposed to help you get a new token and a new refresh token, and then you save these tokens as expected. So here let me go to this method. So we have the generate token method, the one I've just explained, and then we have the generate refresh token, again the one I explained, and then we have the save token. So what am I saving? I'm passing a user ID and a token. So if the user, if I check against the user ID here, I want to see if there's a user already existing on the refresh token DB. So if the user is null, I'll add this token. If not, I'll pick the token that is already on the DB, and then I will save the changes and give a response back. So that's what you're seeing at this point here. So we generate token, the refresh token, and then save the token, the new token that has been generated. Then we return back with the new token and the refresh token. So this is the method for refreshing tokens that we will implement. So next we implement the registration user async method. So with this, let's have that. So make this async. So again, we are doing almost the same thing. So we are finding the user by the email address that has been passed. So if the user is not null, it means the user already exists. So you can only add one user. For an email can only have one user, so you cannot have multiple users with the same email. So that's why we are checking to ensure that the email that you pass is unique for each user. And you can see the find user by email. If you go to the definition of that, we are checking in the applications table to find if an email exists. Then if this response here is null, then we create a request for the application user where we put the name, email, and the encrypted password. Then the response we get after saving changes, if it is greater than 0, it therefore means that we now create the roles. So we check if the ID that if the role ID exists within the roles table, and if it is null, it means we can't complete the registration because such role does not exist. But if not, we will assign the user to a role. And how do we do that? We pass an application user model and an application role model, as you can see here. So we have the name, email. For the role, we have the role name. So how do you assign it? We go to the implementation of this method. So here you'll find that we have the user and the role. So we first check if the email exists. We get the details for the user and then the role details based on the role name. And then once we have that, we will find if the ID exists to if this role has already been assigned to this user. If it has been assigned, we are saying the role already assigned to the user. If not, we create a new model for the user role and then save changes and then return a success for that. So you can see it's very straightforward. And then here we give a return of the registration response that the registration has been completed. So that is the register user async method. So next we have the update user async method. Again, not very complex, so we just do it like this. So here it should be model. So what do we have here? So we want to update the user, so we create a model for the application user, and then once we do that, we update the role. How do you update the role? We first check if the role under the user role, if the user already has a role. If he has a role, then we will remove it, save changes, then create a user role model, a new one, then create an update, and then save changes for both the for the user role. So it's here, and then we return a response of a successful update. So that is for the user update user async method. So next we have the update user role async method. So how do we do that? So we have that application roles like that. So here we are updating the roles that the user roles that are there. It could be admin, you want to change it to something else. You pass it here, then you save changes, then return a successful response. So as you can see, this is the entire implementation of our interface. Not very complex. It's something that you can easily understand and go through. So once we have this implementation, now we need to find a way to create our API that we can test before we can implement it on our client application. So let's see how we do that next. So to create our API, what we need to do is to go to the presentation layer, and then under the web API, we will create a new controller, which we are calling the user controller. So it's an API, an empty API controller, add, and then we have API controller, and then we have, let's put here user controller, and add it like that. So here we will inject our interface, the iUser interface. So iUser user like that. And then here now we will put our methods that we need to implement. So they are here. Let's go through them one by one. So the first one is the login, the log user in or the login user method. So as you can see, we are calling the login user async method, and then we return an OK response for that. So we are passing the login DTO model. Then this one is supposed to give us the response. And the response, as you saw in our implementation, it is supposed to be either true with a success message, the token, and the refresh token. So that is the response that we will get here. And then you can see this one is allow anonymous because at this time you don't have a token. You've not authenticated yourself. So any request can hit this endpoint, but it's after that that's when we will require you to authorize. So other methods require you to authorize. The same thing to the registration. Here we are registering a user. So you're passing the register user DTO and then calling the register user. And then of course, if you go to the implementation, the response here is either true and the registration is completed, or false if there is an issue. So the next one is the user list. So the user list gets all the users that are there. So we are calling the get user async method. And then here you can see we are authorizing. So meaning you have to be authenticated to be able to pull users for this endpoint. And then the update user, we are passing the register user DTO to the update user. And then again, we get a response for that. The same thing for delete user, passing an ID for each user, then delete and get a response. Create role, the same thing, pass the create role DTO to the create role async method. The role list, the same thing, getting the roles for the roles that have been created. Then this one here, you update roles that are there. You delete role, again, same thing. And then this one is for the refresh token. So this one you're pushing the token, the refresh token, then getting the refresh token together with the new token that the user can use. So this method will help us to maintain sessions for the user even after the token refreshes, meaning the user can request for a new token in real time without having to log out and relog in with a new token. So these are the methods that we have for our API. So we can run so that we see how it looks. Let me see. So next what we need to do is adjust our Swagger UI to be able to test this API successfully. So what we need to do is just come to the program.cs. So where we have this, where is it? Let's see. Yes, so you can put it here. I think there's changes in the .NET 9. So, but let's put it here like this. So, what we need to do is, I think we need to call in the Swagger generator to be able to add this. This one was something that was there in .NET 8, but I see .NET 9 is a bit different. So let's see how we resolve this. Yeah, so you'll have to install the Swashbuckle ASP.NET Swagger generator. So this one, whichever version you find at the point of when you're creating your application, you can try it out and see what happens. So this one you should be able to resolve the issues around this generator that we have. It's not automatically loaded in .NET 9, which is a good thing to note. And then load any other that is there, including this one, which is coming from the Microsoft Open API model. So this code here will help us to be able to authorize our token and test some of the endpoints that you just saw, so that we don't get errors because of refresh token issues. So once we have that, let's load our API and see if we can see anything. Let's see. I think before that there is something else I have not done. So if you come to not that, if you come to the dependency injection, yes. So we will add our interface so that we're able to call it, to register it. So like that. So the user and then the user repo, the one that we have. Okay, so I think with that, let's build. So rebuild. Yeah, so our application has built successfully, meaning there are no issues. Let's start without debugging. So just discovered that the Swagger is no longer in .NET 9, but we can have a workaround around it. So with this added, when you add the function that I added, this one, the Swagger doc and the security and then the requirement. Once you add all of these, what you need to do next is call these two methods here and then ensure you add this dependency. You add the Swagger generator and the Swagger UI. So once you have that, we can run. So what you need to do is debug. Start without debugging. So it's running. So what you need to come and do is pick the port for the application. So you can get the port here under properties, the Web API properties, launch settings. This is the port that you pick. Then you come back, put it on this URL and just hit enter. So here you have back the Swagger UI as we had it in .NET 8. It's one way to easily test the API and see if it's working or not. So therefore, if we try and see, let's try and do a registration. So let me register with this, execute. So it's running. So please confirm the roles. So I don't have roles. Let me create a role here. So let me say admin. So execute. Yeah, so role has been added successfully. And if I come here to the role list, let's see. Yeah, you can see I have one role, admin. So now if I register this, I just need to come and add this as one, then execute. So user already exists. Let me see if I can remove him and add him afresh. Don't know if that will be okay. Let's see. Yes. So one, execute. So it has been deleted. Let's see if there are users here. So of course I have to log in. So let me hope that is okay. Let's run this again. So registration completed. Very true. Then here I have now to log in. Try this. Execute. So you can see it's giving me the token, the refresh token. So I pick this and then I come here. I put the bearer here and then the token that that has been generated. Then say authorize, close. Then once you have that, you execute and you can see it's giving you the user. So it's string. This is the email and the password. So as you can see, our APIs are working as expected. All of them are working to give us whatever we need. So this completes the first section of this video. So the next one is to see how now we connect this entire API to our UI and therefore know how we can have the end-to-end functionality on the user interface. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.